like to think I am a wellness warrior to myself and my community. This constant search for knowledge and inspiration has brought me to California, where I interviewed a number of experts about the latest wellness trends. My first stop was in Malibu to meet Darin Olien, first ever health and wellness expert to be named a superfood hunter. Inspired by his travels around the world, he has created a personalized approach to achieve optimal health through small changes and daily habits. So, you have to tell me, how come you started being interested in superfoods? Because you are known as a superfood hunter. So what does that mean?
It's a good question. Like, first off, I was given that name. It wasn't something I came up with or tried to market in any way. It was really the innocence of the more I learned and got educated on plants, the more I started using them. And then when I really decided to professionally formulate and discover and explore, for me, coming from a small town, coming from farmers in my family, coming from a father that was an agricultural professor at the University of Minnesota, in my blood was to understand growing and see the farmers and meet the people. So it just came innocently out of the desire to truly learn what plants are, not just Google searching, just literally, okay, if I really want to work with this, and if I really desire to share it with the world or present these botanicals, it is really my responsibility to understand from the ground all the way to the person who's actually growing it, caring for these plants, or in a certain case, people on wild foods, foraging the plants. So it was really the running around to the Amazon and on mountaintops in the Himalayas and kind of everything in between in 35 plus countries, was really because the morality and the ethics of knowing where these foods were coming from and how they were cared for intimately was something that I needed to know. The more I did it, the more I realized how bad the industry was. The more I looked underneath the hood of the industry, being out in the world, seeing facilities in countries around the world, seeing farmers the way that they were desperately trying to do these things, I realized how bad it was from a trade perspective, and also from a quality herb botanical potency perspective. So then I just knew that I had to keep doing this, because if I was going to continue in this career, I had to truly know the plant and where it was being grown, and also know the people.
So now basically, if we ask you what is the best source of certain plants and superfoods, and you would know that, right?
Wow.
Because there's so much information and we don't know what it affects everything and
Sure.
where to get it from and what is the best source. And I think this is, people want to be healthy, people want to consume all of these products, but sometimes because they have too much information and it's not this uncertainty, you have the expert is telling you to take that, then it's good. But otherwise, you don't want to go by yourself there.
Totally. Well, you have this disjointed industry, because you have an expert saying, hey, this compound or this food or this supplement is great, but then the other side of it is you've got this whole industry that is growing it, manufacturing it, processing it, putting in a package and sending it overseas and delivering it to a customer.
So many processes involved in this.
And then you have testing that needs to be done for heavy metals, microbiological, and so much more. And then, is it coming from a certified facility that's that's deemed worthy of certain certifications of cleanliness and food grade, this, that, and the other thing. So there's one thing of saying something's good, and then another thing of it actually being delivered in a bioavailable way that's going to produce the actual thing that it actually has. And that is where, from my humble opinion, most supplements completely fail. And unless you're a company that's doing the work, that is sending someone like me over to wherever it's being manufactured to oversee quality control, to oversee research and development, to oversee the way it should be processed to preserve whatever the active compounds are that you want to have as a consumer, you're really, so as a customer, you're just kind of victimized to the marketing, and it's true. You don't really know. So you have to find companies that are willing to put their money where their mouth is and get involved all the way in the ground, all the way through the whole chain, and have someone like me who's able to share that effectively. And hopefully that company also is supporting the ethics of the farmers that are growing what they're doing, the fair trade, the healthy wage of those said farmers or collectors or foragers. So I don't have an easy answer, because unless I investigate each company and pull that string, I don't know myself. I have a pretty good idea of certain ingredients because I've seen them, and I know sometimes this
the way they should look, or do you know how it looks, like the spirulina, how green should it be, or the turmeric, how orange it should be, or like this, small things can give you an idea about if it's good or not.
100%. These are all indicators.
Or how it smells, maybe.
Organoleptically, when you smell, it's the greatest selector of food that we have as mammals, really. But we don't do that. But we are manipulated by it. So that's why, you know what I mean? So processed food is wafting
bread smell everywhere, and
it doesn't
kind of added stuff.
Exactly. But raw food in its natural state, if you smell it, your body will give you an indication. And there's a lot of science around food selection through smell, or organoleptic selection. But that being said, supplements are different. They've been processed in some way, so you can't really...
But shouldn't we get all of these... I mean, we want to get these micronutrients into our body, all of these minerals, all of these vitamins. Shouldn't we get it from food?
Yes.
Or, I mean, where do you stand when it comes to food and supplementation?
100%. I believe that the foundation is food. The foundation of your health is food and water and pillars of movement and sleep and all of that stuff. That's without a doubt. However, in this modern day world, we have not grown food correctly. We've monocropped it, which starves the soil, that doesn't allow it to replenish, and then we don't even really know the microbiome in the soil of all of the reasons that needs to be in balance, but we're seeing it. And what we're seeing is the micronutrients in the food, absolutely, and they've known this since the early 1900s, it's gone. 99% of what was there is no longer there, and that was in the 20s and 30s.
So even if you choose organic, it doesn't matter because the soil is already...
If you've started to grow things out of its natural state, then there's a risk that you're losing out on micronutrients. And so, but that being said, you definitely want to choose organic. You definitely want to make, if there's a farmer or a farmer's market nearby, if you can grow your own food, those are all number one things to do. And then if you're in a place where you don't have access, then you do your best ask questions, buy organic, buy biodynamic, buy from a permaculture.
What is biodynamic?
Well, biodynamic is really, from a short answer, is really looking at land and understanding how the ecology, how the biome of the land operates, and then you honor nature. So you're growing things that are the food. If I created a food forest here, I would observe what could grow here, and I would start planting in a way that other synergies are happening with plants and growing. And then you would maybe introduce cattle of some kind, and the natural fertilizer of cattle in its more wild form. It's a way to bring the whole into what has been lost from the monocropping. And that monocropping has just stripped us of the micronutrients. And the other side of it, because of the micronutrients and the loss of strength of the plant, leaves it vulnerable. So therefore they came up with some wacky idea to start spraying it with chemicals. And that chemical accumulation now has affected almost everyone on the planet. And that's glyphosate, that's Roundup, that's all of these things. There's neurotoxins of a order of 50 different types of neurotoxins.
So we're basically eating toxins now.
Yeah, there's a lot. We're a lot of exposure. I think the thing is, be aware, and then make your best choice. Don't be frozen by all of this information, but it's common sense, right?
Yeah, that's the problem, because you don't know. You get into this point where you don't know what to choose, and obviously you want to choose the best for yourself and for your health. Will you do this farming here on your property?
Oh yeah.
You will, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, you have the space; it's amazing. So.
Yeah. So I was hit with a fire recently and lost my home, and luckily we're surrounded by very strong fire-resistant oak trees. And you can see a fire went through here, and 5.5 months ago it's regenerating. So
it's amazing.
If you
nature is coming back to life.
Incredible, right? So if you observe nature and move with it, and not take it away and try to control it, if you do
Modified.
that, yeah, exactly, and it goes against you. So I want to bring that balance back, but then create more of a food abundance and medicinal plant abundance using the natural landscape, the water. I mean, it's really about food freedom, water freedom, shelter freedom, generating power freedom. It's really about the thing that we all can relate to. Not everyone has 50 acres of land, but you do the best with what you have, and you make the most informed choices based on what you know at the time.